How's it going? Let's have a conversation. That's the name of the show. I am your host, Class, and this is my co-host.
Miss Pie.
Yeah, and we're here to talk to you about whatever comes randomly in our heads. And today we actually have a topic that we both wanted to talk about. And the topic of the... No, it's better. So let's get into what we're going to talk about. And what we're going to talk about today is a topic that me and my wife actually talk about a lot. We have two different outlooks on certain things in life. And one of those outlooks sometimes is what we're somewhat interested in. But that's what makes us humans in a way, because we can like something and still love each other. It doesn't always have to be completely the same thing. We all have different points of views, and that's okay, you know? And what we were talking about was two people we kind of idolize in a way. And she was idolizing this gentleman who is, we were talking about him on our channel before. His name is, I'm hoping I'm saying this right, Deepak Chopra. And I actually idolize Senator Bernie Sanders from Burlington, Vermont. And I think I can start off by saying that I resonate with Senator Sanders because if you look at, people and our presidents in history, you can tell that there were some people that were considered radicalist, but they were actually just sensible people that were doing the right thing and not being greedy or selfish. FDR, for instance, he said, "I welcome their hatred." He talked about, people with large money. He was also a very wealthy man himself, but he thought about everyone, not just himself. And that's the reason why he was reelected so many times, that he died in office, and that's why they had to do the 4-year term. That man had a legacy on that end. And you also have Teddy Roosevelt, who also wanted to break up the big banks as well, or the big money interests. So there is a lot of people in history, and currently right now, a man who is alive, who I saw in 2016. As at first I was skeptical, because I just thought great. When I heard about another guy named Bernie Sanders, like, oh great, another old, white guy, Caucasian guy, we're just going to go through this all over again. And once I've actually heard what he had to say, I gave him a chance in an open-minded perspective, point of view. It resonated with me, and then I looked at his record. I checked certain bills that he passed and all that stuff, his record on against the war in Iraq and everything, and the fact that he wants to have people, the universe of our country, have everything we should in general, not have to fight nail to the teeth for, which is universal health care. That is possible if we're willing to just justify $123 billion in military spending. So if we can justify that, but we can't justify healthcare, then we're going in the wrong direction. Because if we're just always focusing on war, that's what Bernie's talking about. He doesn't want to go in any war. He's actually trying to get a conversation about the Palestinians. And on top of that, he is he's always trying to avoid that. Of course, he would have to if he needed to. Great leaders like FDR did the same thing, when it came down to the bombing of Pearl Harbor and so on. So that there is Bernie will do it if he needs to, but I don't think he wants to go towards that direction. He wants to go towards peace. People will say that's crazy, but the reality is he's not just focusing on our country. He's also thinking about other parts of the country. When you have a leader, you have to show by example, and he wants to go out there and make peace with certain people in the world and to address those who are actually a threat. For example, you have to show by example, and he wants to go out there and make peace with certain people in the world and to address those who are actually a threat. For example, he's addressing climate change. Those things are not a joke. It's not a hypothetical. It's actually literally what it is. And when it comes to education, I don't think it's crazy to think that we should be able to go to college without worrying whether or not we're gonna be able to afford it, or if we want to live forever shackled in society with bills, along with car payments and rent and housing and credit cards. I mean, it's just crazy. But anyways, that's just a little version, a little taste of who I believe, or who I idolize. Now I'm gonna give the mic to my lovely co-host here, so she can tell a little bit about Deepak Chopra.
Yeah, so as my husband, put it earlier, we were having a conversation about how interesting it is that we just have different stances on our way of maneuvering in our universe. I'm going to say universe because a lot of people, obviously feel conflicted by the term spirituality. I want to say spiritual experience, journey, whatever. So I I came to the for every I don't know. I was gonna say like I'm gonna put it in the best analogy ever. That I was finding that the way that we view the world is kind of like mine would be inside out, and his is outside in. Meaning that for every I don't know. I was gonna say like I'm gonna put it in the best analogy talking to him about because I was reading a book that was actually by Deepak Chopra. It's called "You Are the Universe." Really good read. I highly recommend this book. It inspired me to kind of have a different perspective on what exactly I'm experiencing, everything that goes along with what I know of my world, so your inside world. It talks about how you are the universe. And in a sense, I was, connecting and making the connection that, like, I'm quantum mechanics and he's just physics. So quantum physics and then physics. And, like working my way from my inside world out and he's from outside in. So we were talking about how, in a way, and there's plenty of people from back in the day that were highly influential. And so we were talking about our that's Bernie Sanders and Deepak Chopra. And I thought it was interesting that these are the two main, I would say, leaders of today's world. Now, back in the day, it was Albert Einstein, and there's plenty of people from back in the day that were highly interested in the fact that my husband is passionate about what Bernie stands for, and I'm passionate about what Deepak Chopra stands for. So, we were like, putting it together how at the end of the day, everything that's going on the inside affects you on the outside. So, whether this is mental health, we're talking about mental blocks, gaining full access of the, control of your life. The fact with the main factor being that you create your own reality with the power of your mind. That leading us to know that everything that has ever been made started out as a simple thought. Someone must have imagined, you know, hey, what if it was possible that we can carry water around? We wouldn't have to depend on these, I don't know what they were called, like they were used back in the day to hold water containers. Sorry, that water container back in the day. It's not water bottle nowadays. I mean, I don't know. I'm just gonna say that I don't that someone just once thought. So if that is true, then we take the world of today and the things that we're experiencing, like global, know the name. The point is that that person made a specific idea that started out as a thought, and he or she created that. Whatever is created now is I would say the end solution, the end goal of something that someone just once thought. So if that is true, then we take the world of today and the things that we're warming. That's one of the leading things that has happened because of the way that we have been towards Earth. And you put it together, and what do you get? It's not a coincidence also that people have been suffering from mental illness, right?
Yeah.
Why? Because everything is, I would say, connected to the human mind. Everything is connected. And where we made the connection between Deepak Chopra's teachings and Bernie Sanders is what he represents, his views, is that whatever happens in your mind affects the outer world. So if you take something like money, a well-intended idea, the origin of it was for trading goods and services.
Yeah, back in the day.
Yeah. You take something like that and like have it evolve over the years,
That because at the end of the day, if you've seen his track record, he hasn't really changed any stance on anything. He's been very good to people in any type of gentrification, race, and everything like that. Fought in this, he was there getting arrested at the civil rights movement. What do you call it? What else was there? I believe he did something for a parade in Burlington, Vermont for the LGBTQ community. Sorry if I said that wrong. And I believe, he's done a lot of things for a lot of people, and he embraced a lot of people. So Bernie his message is always about love. He doesn't try to throw any shade on anyone. He tries to stay away from smearing anyone. He is honest about people who do despicable things. That's a given. But he's not attacking people aggressively like a lot of people want him to. But he's not that type of guy. He's just about, and I'm glad he doesn't do it because
balance.
Yeah.
Balance. The balance that we're talking about, where the world, in a sense, has to heal from this monstrosity, or I would say the mental illness of greed.
Yeah.
If you look at it and dissect greed, what does it come from? A fear of loss.
Yeah.
So in a sense, poverty, the fear of poverty, the fear of lack. And as we know it in, scientific terms, I'm not going to say scientific, spiritual terms, we know that there is no such thing other than abundance.
Yeah.
That greed is actually an illusion that comes from fear.
Yeah.
So when you study greed, it's just a state of mind, and that's a mental illness. Because if that's not accurate of what the universe stands, the universe in itself is abundant, then that's inaccurate. You're living in an illusion. And now, because of this illusion, people are now suffering. People are now dying.
Yeah.
We don't have health care.
Yeah.
We have fires going on around the world.
Yeah, from the climate change
From
issues.
climate change.
That's not something
The
we just
greed.
made up. If you look outside, you can tell. Look outside.
Yeah, the greed that I'm talking about is the main corporations. Mm-hmm. All the people that have no consideration for the future of tomorrow.
Yeah, that's the thing we were talking about when it came to money and goods and services, is because Bernie is addressing something that we've been dealing with for quite some time, and it's money and power. And money and power is something that does have an effect on people. You have to think about it in a not in your way of honesty and integrity. You have to think about it in a way where, if some way in a situation where you were being given an opportunity to have a lot of pampering for yourself, a lot of goods, a lot of money, a lot of comfortability, all that stuff. Never have to worry about it ever again. You get a nice little, paycheck, and all you have to do is say a few words that someone else obviously is going to say no matter what. They're always going to find someone to be able to say those things anyway. So what's the point, in a way, for certain people like mainstream media or certain politics? They realize someone else is going to get bought anyways, and they're going to kick me out of the loot anyway, so I might as well just tag along. Exactly. And that's what Bernie is trying to actually avoid. Yeah. He's not trying to get us in the idea where, he's just letting us know, hey, if every American out there has to pay their taxes and we're held accountable, and the IRS, then wealthy people need to do the same. That's just the reality. And some wealthy people out there do want that. They actually believe and agree with that. And they want to pay their fair share in taxes because they have the money. They've been given the American dream. They're given this prosperous money in their pocket, and they know that they want to contribute to their society, because we'll all contribute to society. That's just a reality. And we need to kind of get off that. And Deepak Chopra is actually a very great spiritual man, and he also has some very intellectual perspectives, and that's what we should also pay attention to, not to all this negative, nonsensical stuff.
Yeah, just for the record, Deepak Chopra offers, things that would be considered that are probably impossible. But if we can look at it through
Open-minded.
through an open mind,
Yeah, through an
exactly,
open
you would understand. Anyone would understand that his views and findings are actually based off of science.
Yeah, just
Credible, factual science.
like it's like I'll say like
But more in the theoretical form, maybe like quantum healing. I know it sounds a little bit off because people, I would say most scientists would like to have credible and materialized proof. But if we studied the mind, which is what Deepak Chopra, his main focus is about the mind, then you would know that the reality that is based off of what we have today in front of you is the result of human consciousness. Well, we can get into that, and that subject in itself has to be explored, but we'll get that into another podcast. But in how it leads to the world of today with what he stands for is the fact that everything starts out at quantum level. If we talk about how greed has affected us, it started out with someone who's in charge, who has a lot of money, who has his mindset. And his actions or his or her actions come out of pure greed.
Yeah.
That's going to affect a lot of people because they have that much power.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And we're going to end it on that note. If you guys loved this YouTube podcast, please show some love by leaving a comment or a like or a subscription to our channel. And as always, we really appreciate all the support, guys. We'll see you guys next time, okay? Peace.